I am a changed man. I don't think I deserve the punishment that I am currently receiving. Maybe this is God's way of reminding me of where I'm going. Maybe it's Him urging me to do the right thing. All I know is what's happening is unnatural, and I have no way to explain it. This all started a few months ago. My wife and I were celebrating my daughter's 5th birthday at Chuck E. Cheese. The atmosphere as a whole was pretty depressing, but hey, my daughter was having the time of her life. She was more than a little antisocial, and the entire time we were there, she didn't even acknowledge any of the other kids. She just kept frolicking through the arcade, going from game to game until we had played each one at least 3 times. By the end of her little 3-hour marathon, we could tell that she had winded herself. Her cheeks had turned a rosy red from all the running, and her chest rose and fell rapidly beneath her overalls. "Someone's getting tired, huh?" asked my wife, running her hand through Roxy's sweaty hair. "Who, me?" my daughter replied, almost sarcastically. "Nuh-uh, I'm not tired, Mom." A yawn cut her off mid-sentence, prompting a chuckle from my wife and me. "Okay, kiddo," I said with a sigh. "Let's hit the road. We'll make your favorite food for your birthday dinner. Mac and cheese, ice cream, you name it." The idea of ice cream for dinner must have brought her around because, without a single complaint, she actually let us carry her out of the Chuck E. Cheese. I strapped her in without issue, made sure she had her favorite stuffed monkey George, and it wasn't until I had already buckled up and started pulling out of the parking spot that Roxy started whining. But even then, it wasn't about having to leave. It was about who we were leaving behind. "Wait, Daddy," she cried from the back seat. "We can't forget Mr. Thomason." My blood ran cold, but only for a moment before I convinced myself that I was just being crazy. "Who is Mr. Thomason, Roxanne?" I asked, a little air still stuck in my throat. "He's in there. We can't leave yet. We have to wait on him." "Well, how long is he gonna take?" my wife asked, slightly annoyed. "I don't know. Oh, look, there he is." I looked at where my daughter was pointing. It was just empty space. She could have been pointing at the front door for all I knew. "I don't think we see him, honey," I told her. "Maybe he'll be here next time," my wife added. "Hey, don't you want your ice cream?" My daughter started throwing the biggest fit I'd seen her throw since she was 2 years old, kicking her feet, bawling her eyes out, screaming at us. "No, no, 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 no," she screeched. "He's right there." Snot streamed from her nostrils, and her eyes had gone bloodshot from the tears. "Look how sad he is," she pouted, wiping her nose on her sleeve. "He can't get in, Daddy. You have to let him in, please." This was one of those moments where I knew I was going to have to make a hard decision. I was a parent, and with that role came the responsibility of having to put my foot down on certain things. I wanted this to be one of them. I wanted to drive away, exit the parking lot and go home, eat ice cream, fall asleep to a Disney movie. Roxanne would forget this whole thing by tomorrow. Only, I couldn't do that. She wouldn't let me. The moment she felt the car moving forward, she amplified her fit by 10, throwing herself to the floorboard, screaming so loud her voice went out. And in that same hoarse voice, she just kept repeating the same phrase. "You have to let him in! You have to let him in! You have to let him in!" "Okay," I screamed, louder than I had intended. "You want me to let him in? Fine, I'll let him in, but I want you to know, no ice cream for you tonight, little girl." I aggressively put the car in park and slammed the door behind me as I proceeded to the back passenger door of the vehicle. Opening the door, I waved my hand like a chauffeur, motioning this invisible man into the car with a, "Please, Mr. Thomason, after you." Believe it or not, it actually worked. Roxanne stopped crying immediately. She actually went from devastated to thrilled before I could even close the door again. After a series of thank yous and I love yous, Roxy spent the rest of the car ride home giggling to herself, while her mom and I talked amongst each other up front. Obviously, our chat revolved around that little episode my daughter had just had, and by the end of the conversation we came to the same conclusion. Our daughter had a new imaginary friend. Staying true to my promise, even though it was her birthday, Roxanne didn't get any ice cream that night. I felt bad, really. I mean, it wasn't her fault. It was real to her, but that's still no reason to act the way she did. She didn't seem to mind, though. She spent the rest of the night up in her room. I could hear her laughing and playing, talking to herself. Just normal kid stuff, I guess. I decided I'd make amends with her by bringing her a cup of hot chocolate before I had to put her to bed. It was something I think we both enjoyed. She liked to drink it. I liked the smile she wore after it was gone. As I pushed her door open, I found that she was lying on her belly, coloring. "A little peace offering," I announced, setting a cup of hot cocoa on the ground beside her. "What's that?" she responded, never taking her eyes off the page. It doesn't matter. Daddy just wanted to make you something yummy. What are you working on?" It wasn't until this very moment that I really started to focus in on what she was coloring. Her picture had been of her favorite princess, Belle. She kept going outside of the lines, and the colors were all off, but that's not what caught my attention. What grabbed my eye was the picture of the beast on the opposite page. It had been perfectly colored, all within the lines, the correct color, and the bottom had been signed, M. Thomason. That feeling washed over me again. That icy, nasty feeling where I could feel my heart in my ears. "Roxanne, who did this?" She didn't answer. "Roxanne, you hear me talking to you. Who colored this picture?" Still no answer. I reached down and closed the coloring book, clapping my hands together to get her attention. "Do you not hear, Daddy? Did you know Mr. Thomason?" The question felt like a hot razor blade pressing into my skin. I didn't want to believe what I was hearing. "Who? Why? What makes you say that? Who is Mr. Thomason?" Roxy rolled over on her side and curled into a C shape around the coloring book, staring up at me with eyes full of wonder. "He says you two knew each other a really long time ago. He doesn't want to talk about it though, so that's why I'm asking you." I thought carefully about how to respond. It should have been easy. It should have been nothing more than a simple no. But the conviction I felt made the thought of lying feel like an open wound. I knew that I had to do it though, and it killed me. "No, Roxy, only you can see your friend." With a shrug, Roxy started guzzling her hot chocolate before climbing into bed and asking me to tuck her in. From that moment on, my daughter's relationship with her imaginary friend only deepened, causing me the most stress I'd experienced since the incident. Every day, she'd play games with the man. Hide and seek, tea parties, pillow forts. Hell, she'd gone as far as to demand an extra plate for him every night at dinner time. What I noticed as the year progressed was just how different my daughter seemed to look at me. It was like with each passing week, she acted more and more mad at me. She started only talking to her mom. She'd leave the room whenever I came home from work. It was heartbreaking. I was still a father, though. I couldn't just pretend this wasn't happening. But anytime I tried to talk to her, she was just so withdrawn. Dare I say, scornful. And to add insult to injury, I could hear her at night, talking to her imaginary friend, laughing in a way she used to laugh with me. She actually sounded loving, and that just completely shattered me. I think everything came to a boiling point on her 6th birthday. I had gone all out. Balloons, streamers, a piñata, a snack bar, and all the ice cream you could eat. The entire party was princess themed. I had spent hundreds on toys, and I wanted this day to be special. And do you know what Roxy did? She acted like I didn't exist all day long. Not a single hug, not a single thank you, not even a single I love you. You can call me petty all you want. When this sort of thing happens to you, it's not something you just take lightly. I was hurt. It made me irritable. Roxy had spilled her juice all over the living room carpet, and I screamed at her. I lost my temper, and it shouldn't have happened, but it did. She stared at me for a moment, lip trembling, eyes filling with tears, and in a weird way, it felt good seeing something other than a cold stare on her face as she looked at me. Unfortunately, she shook the tears away pretty quickly before the brow furrowed. Her fists clenched at her side. She stamped her foot. She screamed back. "You killed Mr. Thomason! You killed Mr. Thomason! You killed Mr. Thomason!" She just kept saying it over and over. Everyone in attendance was staring at us. Some looked on in horror. Others laughed at the absurdity. Regardless, I scooped Roxy up in my arms and began carrying her to her bedroom as she flailed like a fish out of water. Once we reached her room, I sat her down on her own 2 feet, and before I could even get a word out, she started up with her chanting. "He told me what you did. I know what you did. You killed Mr. Thomason." Of course, I explained to her how insane she was being, how she was making a fool of herself in front of all of our guests, and that just because it was her birthday, she still didn't have the right to throw yet another fit like this. Needless to say, the party ended pretty abruptly that day. Everyone sort of just left within a matter of minutes, leaving my wife and me to clean up after the kids that weren't ours, and adults that certainly knew better. That didn't matter to me, though. What mattered to me was how blatantly I was lying to my daughter. Because I did. I did kill Mr. Thomason. I could have saved him, but instead I finished him off. It was an accident. I swear to God it was an accident. He had been walking in the middle of the road in the middle of the night. How is that my fault? That cannot be my fault. But what is my fault is what I did after. I could have called the police. I probably wouldn't have even been arrested. I may have spent a night or 2 in jail, but the thought of prison clouded my judgment in a thick black fog. And as that man lay there, crippled in the middle of the road, begging for my help, do you know what I did? Do you know why I think what's happening in my life right now is either a punishment from God or a revenge allowance from Satan himself? Instead of helping him, I dropped a rock on his face, again and again, over and over until he stopped moving. I buried him in the woods off the road, going as far as to leave him there while I went all the way home to get a shovel. I left him there, and from that moment on, I knew my life could be over at any given moment. But as the years went on and I grew older, that fear started to dissipate. I finished college, I bought a house, I started a family. The universe had to correct itself. It had to ensure justice was served, and I can say with full confidence that it was. I am so fucking sorry. I was young, I made a mistake, and I am fucking sorry, okay? I don't deserve this. I'm currently writing this from the hospital. My wife is crying her eyes out beside me, and all I feel is numb. My daughter has spent the last 3 days in critical condition, and we don't think she's going to make it. We caught her on our Ring doorbell. It looked like she was holding hands with absolutely no one, just being pulled along by the air all the way to the road in front of our house. The road itself was out of view of the camera, but I think that was a blessing in disguise. I don't think I would have been able to stomach seeing what happened to my daughter. We know she was hit by a car, that much is obvious. What's not so obvious is why she had such concentrated blunt force trauma to her head. Even if she does survive, she'll never be the same. And besides myself, I think I know exactly who's to blame.